In the twilight of the American Civil War, a quiet revolution began, one that would forever alter the course of a nation. Picture a landscape dotted with sprawling plantations, where the air is thick with the scent of blooming cotton and the distant sound of labor. Now imagine this world turned upside down, as a wave of human beings, bound by chains of slavery, began to break free. They moved with a quiet determination, a collective will that defied the cruelty of their circumstances. This was not a dramatic uprising, nor a violent rebellion. It was a mass exodus, a silent yet powerful movement of people seeking freedom. This is the story of how a nation's most oppressed citizens transformed the very war that was being fought over their fate. In 1862, as the Civil War raged, the Union Army found itself facing an unexpected and overwhelming influx of escaped slaves. These individuals, men, women, and children, arrived at Union camps in droves, often with nothing but the clothes on their backs. They came from every corner of the Confederacy, driven by a relentless desire for freedom and a belief that the Union Army represented their best chance at a new life. Some arrived individually, while others came in entire families or larger groups, their feet bloodied and their spirits unbroken. The arrival of these refugees, known as contrabands, was initially met with confusion and uncertainty. The Union Army had no formal policy for dealing with escaped slaves. Some commanders welcomed them, recognizing their potential as laborers and informants. Others tried to drive them away, fearing the strain on resources and the political implications of harboring fugitives. Yet, despite the lack of a cohesive plan, the sheer number of refugees made it impossible to ignore their presence. By the end of 1862, thousands of freed slaves had gathered in cities like Norfolk, Hampton, Alexandria, and Washington, forming a human tide that could not be turned back. The North was unprepared for the scale of this migration. The refugees were in dire need of food, shelter, and medical care. Army rations were often irregular, and the Union Army relied heavily on volunteer societies to provide aid. These organizations, funded by churches and individuals from the North and abroad, worked tirelessly to meet the needs of the refugees. Rude barracks were erected to provide temporary shelter, but the focus soon shifted to integrating the freed slaves into the war effort. They were encouraged to make labor contracts with nearby plantations, and many were employed as laborers, servants, and even spies for the Union Army. Their contributions were invaluable, and they quickly became a crucial part of the Union's logistical operations. The movement of these refugees was not a spontaneous act of desperation. It was a calculated decision, driven by a combination of fear, hope, and a deep-seated desire for freedom. Many of the escaped slaves had heard of the Union Army's advance, and saw it as their best chance to escape the brutality of plantation life. They left behind everything they knew, risking their lives to reach the safety of Union lines. The journey was fraught with danger, as they faced the constant threat of capture and returned to their former masters. Yet they persevered, driven by a faith in the Union cause and a belief that their suffering would not be in vain. The impact of this exodus on the war effort was profound. The Union Army found itself not only fighting the Confederates, but also managing a vast population of refugees. The refugees, in turn, became a powerful force for change. They worked tirelessly, providing essential labor and intelligence that helped turn the tide of the war. Their presence also forced the Union to confront the moral and political implications of slavery. As the war progressed, the Union's stance on slavery shifted. What had begun as a war to preserve the Union became a war to end slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863, marked a turning point. It declared all slaves in Confederate territory to be free, and it opened the door for the recruitment of black soldiers into the Union Army. The enlistment of black soldiers was a pivotal moment in the war. Initially, there was resistance to the idea of arming former slaves. However, as the war dragged on and the Union faced mounting casualties, the need for additional manpower became urgent. Black soldiers proved to be capable and courageous fighters, and their contributions were instrumental in securing Union victories. By the end of the war, over 180,000 black soldiers had served in the Union Army, and their bravery and dedication helped to secure the North's victory. The story of the escaped slaves and their journey to freedom is a testament to the human spirit's resilience and determination. They faced countless obstacles, from the physical hardships of their journey to the prejudices they encountered in the North. Yet they never wavered in their pursuit of freedom. Their actions not only transformed their own lives, but also played a crucial role in shaping the outcome of the Civil War. They were not passive recipients of freedom. They were active participants in their own liberation. As the war drew to a close, the future of the freed slaves remained uncertain. The end of slavery did not automatically guarantee equality or justice. The struggle for civil rights and racial equality would continue for generations. Yet, the exodus of the slaves and their contributions to the Union cause laid the foundation for a new chapter in American history. It was a chapter marked by the enduring belief that freedom is a right worth fighting for, and that the pursuit of justice is a noble and necessary endeavor. In the end, the quiet revolution of the escaped slaves was a powerful force for change. It demonstrated that the human spirit, when driven by a deep desire for freedom, can overcome even the most daunting obstacles. The story of their journey is a reminder that the struggle for justice is never easy, but it is always worth the effort.